Is it gonna fall? It look like it. Okay, we good now. Okay, we back, y'all. Hopefully that will be the last interruption. Let's try this again. Okay. Hey, Phoenix. I hope the people that were here for the last one get their notification and they can come back because I want to get started because I don't want to be on here too long. So let me go to Google. Oh, but she asked me like how was the house hunting going? So it's still going. Um, let me see. Okay, so if you want to research what your last name means, all you have to do is type in your last name and the origin of your name will come up. Where the name originated from, how how that name came to be, um, if there are slave plantations with your last name, if your last name is synonymous to slave plantations, all of those things will come up. What area it is that people with that last name or where their slave plantation was will come up because a lot of people don't understand that a lot of us share the same last name because a lot of our ancestors started off on certain slave plantations, and we got the last names of the owners. And a lot of these common, very common last names, Jones, Johnson, Smith, Williams, Miller, all of these very, very common last names that a lot of black people have, that's the reason why we have these common last names, why a lot of us all share the same last name. So, of course, well, for people that don't know, my last name is Brown. And so it is from the Middle English. And at first, it was spelled Broun, derived from Old English or Old French brun, and literally meaning brown as in color, like the color brown. This descriptive surname or nickname refers to the color of an individual's complexion, the color of their hair, or even the color of the garments that they wore most often. So the region is Scotland, England, and Ireland. 7th century Old English, and it was before the spelling Brown N like we spell it, it was Brun. So you can go back and it will tell you if uh, your last name was used in the Bible, how common your last name is. So Brown is the fourth most popular surname in the United States. Every last name that I've had has been in the top 10. Every last name that I've had has been, I think, in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. So Brown is the fourth most common popular surname in the United States, the fifth most common in England, and the fourth most common last name in Australia. The variant surname is Brown and they add a E on the end. It's also common in England and Ireland. Brown is the second most common surname. The second most common surname amongst African Americans in the United States. So it is number 2, Brown. Every every last name I've had, because of course I've been married twice. This is my second marriage. I have been adopted, so my last name was changed during the adoption process. So every last name that I've had, so I went from Evans to Williams, from Williams to Jones, from Jones back to Williams, and then from Williams to Brown. And every last name I've had has been in the top 5, I think, of last names for African Americans. So it's so easy to, oh, it's in southern Georgia. And so they do have something on um, Ancestry.com that talks about, it kind of says the same thing of where um, the name originated. And you know that normally when you have a name that is English, you know, those that's probably a name that one of the slave masters or someone who owned a plantation had. Like we don't have, of course, we were not able to retain the names that we were given, that our ancestors were given in Africa. When they were brought here, of course, those names were taken away, and our ancestors had to give us the names that, the owners of our ancestors decided to give us. And of course, our surname would be the owner of the plantation. So if you lived on the Brown plantation, then you would, of course, take the name of the person that owned you. That was the, legal right of the owners back then. And so, of course, even after slavery, we didn't go into a situation where we ditched those names. Like some people do. I have said that at one point when I had first got initiated, that I was going to the go through the naming ceremony and have my name changed. Now, when you become a priest, that is automatic. Your Orisha name is given to you when you receive your crown. You receive your Orisha name too, your Yoruba name. Your traditional Yoruba name is given to you at the time of your crowning ceremony. And at that time, if you choose to no longer use the whatever your name was before, so we'll use me, Lashana Brown. If I choose at my naming, at my crowning, at my ceremony, never to use Lashana Brown again, I don't have to. You can then use the name that you are given at your ceremony, and you can go and have your name changed legally to the name that you are given at your ceremony. And I was going to do that. I said, if I'm ever crowned um in my ceremony, I will change my name to the name that I'm given. And those names are, very technical names because they are related to whatever Orisha you are crowned to. So it would be if I'm crowned to Oshun because, we don't know. I could, like, my life could be on something different right now, and when I go and have my life reading, my Ita, it can come up that, another Orisha has stepped forward. But we're going to use Oshun since I'm technically still a child of Oshun. We're going to use Oshun. So it would be a name that it's an Oshun name. You know, it, something about Oshun would be in the name that they give me. And then if you decide to go and, legally change your name, you can do that. Because, I've always felt that how do we really not have, I don't want to say hatred, but how do we really get rid of that sting if we're still carrying the names of our oppressor? Like, how do we get over that trauma still carrying their names? Like, when you get divorced, you normally will get rid of that person's name because you don't want to be associated with that person anymore. Now, there are some people that get divorced and, keep their husband's last name, but what if that person was an abuser? You still want to be called by their last name? You still want to carry their last name? Like, even when I got divorced, my kids remained Jones because that was their father, but I gave him back his name and I took my maiden name back because I didn't want to hold his name. We're not married no more. So to me, I always thought that, how are we to heal in America? Like, how are we really going to heal as a people still holding on to the names of our oppressors? That's real. Because if you really look up who where your name originates from, most of these names are English, Irish. They're not African names. We are African American with the names of the people that oppressed us. So how do we really heal? And we're still carrying that. We're still carrying those names. We're still carrying that trauma because the trauma is linked to that. Like, technically, will we ever heal? Yeah, no. Like, why would we get Arabic names? I wouldn't. That wouldn't be my thing. So it also says that Um, John Brown, who was born in 1810 and he died in 1876, also known by his slave name Fed, was born into slavery on a plantation in Southampton County, Virginia. This slave narrative, dictated to a helper who wrote it, recounted his life and later escaped from slavery in Georgia. So his name, the name that they gave him, John Brown, was probably one of our ancestors. Talks about what it was like to be a slave living on a plantation with that last name. So there is a brown plantation. I mean, all of this stuff is, um, all of this is, all you have to do is just put in your last name and you will get all of this information. So the Brown Plantation is in Talladega, well, was located in Talladega County, Alabama. So it was owned by a woman. Her name was, her last name was Hyatt. Her three nephews, John, Charlie, and Henry Brown, ran the plantation. There were more than 300 slaves at the Brown Plantation, some of whom were born in Africa. John Brown, which is, I guess he is like a famous slave who told his story, what it was like being a Brown and living on the plantation at that time, recalls a story about his own grandmother's capture from her African home. So, Charlie Brown and Henry Brown were the plantation um, caretakers. So, there we are. And it was, of course, agricultural um, plantation. You know, most of our ancestors were sharecroppers, farmers, sharecroppers, you know, cotton, tobacco, sugar cane, whatever grew in that area. So a lot of, I guess, my husband's family would have originated in Alabama. And you know that black people during that time were taken from plantation to plantation. So just because you were born in Alabama doesn't mean that you stayed there, you know, and your whole family stayed there. You could have went anywhere during that time. Like if they needed you someplace else or you were sold off to another plantation. That's how a lot of, you know, our family is just scattered all over. Well, you know, us, like my family, moved from Louisiana to Florida and from Florida to California to get better jobs because, you know, there weren't a whole lot of really good jobs back in the day in Louisiana. So in the 50s, they had heard that, you know, California was a place that had like a lot of good jobs because the railroad, they were working on the railroad. They had longshoreman jobs and all of this kind of stuff. And that was how my mom and dad ended up coming out here, and other family members were to get some of those jobs here in California. Like in during the 50s and the 60s, there was a huge migration from the South out here to California. And either they stopped in LA, in Southern California, or here in Northern California, where a lot of jobs, a lot of factories, and everything was open at the time. And, our families, that's how they made money. And a lot of them just stayed here, like my mother ended up doing. She said it wasn't their, they didn't want to stay here in California. They wanted to come out here and make money and eventually go back to Louisiana. But unfortunately, neither my mother or father was able to go back to Louisiana other than to visit. They both passed away here in California. But it just was not their desire to really live out here. Neither one of them wanted to stay here. They wanted to go back to Louisiana. But the money was here. They were hoping that they would be able to retire and then buy property in Louisiana. But then when I was born, my mother was like, I don't want to raise her in Louisiana. I'd rather, I think she would have a better chance here in California. So we stayed here. So it's very easy to find out, what your roots are, where you come from, what your name means, what plantation, um, what plantation was your family a part of? Who, who were your people? I think we should all know that. And it's not like, oh, you want to know that so you can be angry or, frustrated because you're descendants of slaves. We already know we are descendants of slaves. We're not mad, but I just feel like everyone should know, like, where you come from, what your name means, the name that was given to you, what it means. And does that make you want to, not make you, but does that, put a little spark under you to have a more traditional name, or an African name or a Yoruba name? Does that, do you have the desire to do that? Because a lot of the traditional African religions, they would look at like when you were born, the day you were born, the order in which you were born. Like if you were the first girl born, the first, child born, the day you were born on, if you were born on a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday, all those things matter. If you were born during the day, if you were born at night, if you were a breech baby, if you were a twin, a triplet, all, single baby, all of those things married. If you were mattered, if you were born with a veil on you, like if you were born still in the sack, all that mattered. So that would attribute to the name that you were given. They didn't just, oh, that's a pretty name. Like my mother saw my name in an Ebony magazine and thought it was pretty. My first name, and then my middle name, she liked the singing group, the Shirelles, back in the day, and was like, oh, yeah, well, that'll be her middle name. And that's what it was. It was no real, like, significance to my name. It was just a name that she saw and thought was different and decided, oh, okay, well, I'm going to name my child, because she didn't know what she was having. She didn't know that she was having a girl until I was born. But she had picked out that name, and I guess if it was a boy, she, had another name. In well, probably if it was a boy, she probably would have named him after my dad. I knew somebody named Mustafa, a little boy. Thank you, Sundance Girl. Angela King, gratitude. I want my name changed. People cover it up on how. How? Why is everything secret? They already show the white folks. I don't think it's I don't think it's covered up. It's all you got to do is Google how to change your name. I'm pretty sure it's easy to change your name legally. You just have to do it legally. If you want to do it permanently, you just have to do it legally. Or if you don't want to do it legally, just tell people to call you such and such. If you don't want to go through the process of having it done, because if you do, then of course you have to change your ID or driver's license. You have to get it changed on your birth certificate. You have to get it changed on your social security card. Like all of those things, you have to go in and get it changed everywhere if you're going to do it legally. So it is a process, but I don't think it's a hidden process. All you have to do is Google how to change your name legally, and I'm pretty sure everything will come up. There is no secret. The only secrets, that I speak about are the mysteries of the Orishas. Some of those things are secret, and they should be, unless you are initiated. If you're not initiated, then some of that stuff is not your business. But things like how to change your name, that's public knowledge. All you have to do is Google it. No one can hide that from you, because a lot of people do it. A lot of people change their names. That's no I don't think that's being hidden from anyone, because my name was changed legally when I was adopted. That I don't think it was hidden. So Starseed Root, which said, I do know half of my family was from Louisiana and Texas. I do know some of my ancestors were slaves and they survived that nightmare, so I can be here. Yeah, they did. I mean, all of our ancestors obviously, survived, or we wouldn't be here. Now they may be gone on now, but yeah, they survived, so we're here.
Gone.
Gone?
Gone.
You just said it like that? Gone? Okay. Call me later. Love you.
Love
Yeah, all of our ancestors, they made it. It wasn't the best of situations, but they made it. Oh, you a Brown too? Oh, okay. Brown is my married name though. So that would be my husband's family's name. Mine is Williams. And I have looked at that. It's a slave name also. A lot of those names are. Let me see what the top 5 common African American names are. Ooh, Smith is the most common last name in the United States, followed by Johnson, Miller, Jones, Williams, and Anderson. And I have been all of those. I have been A Jones, a Williams, now a Brown. So that's the top five. Top five. Let's see. Top five for African Americans. Okay, so it says today the most common African American surnames are still Williams, Johnson, Smith, and Jones. Most common. The names are the same for the top surnames in the United States: Smith, Johnson, Williams, Brown, and Jones. And I have been three of the last ones: Williams, Brown, and Jones. That's it. A lot of us, a lot of us are probably somewhat related that share the same last name. And here's a Jones right here. A lot of us have those last names. And it's because of how our ancestors came to this country. The reason why we all have a lot of last names in common is because of our ancestors and how they came to this country and where they were purchased and where they lived and who owned them. That's it. It's not a coincidence. It's just real. Dude, Gizmo, stop. Because you'll bite your toes until you end up hurting something. So look your name up. And for Hispanics, they have Garcia, Rodriguez, Martinez, Hernandez, Lopez, and Gonzalez. I mean, I don't know a lot about, and I don't really have like a whole lot of Hispanic friends, so I can't really um, speak on that. But those are some of the common last names they have for Hispanics. So just, and then they do have some of the Yoruba names and their meanings. So, if you want to change your name, there are a lot of people um, who practice the Yoruba tradition that have naming ceremonies. They will meet you and do a reading for you and, get information about you and stuff. And they can also give you a name. Like, you don't have to go through the whole Orisha crowning to receive a name. You can meet with a priest and tell them that you would like a Yerba name. And they will, get with you and talk to you and all of that kind of stuff and find out which name fits you. I know in the 60s, a lot of black people did go, during that whole revolutionary period when, a lot of black people, the Black Panthers was big, and we were going through that whole revolutionary period. A lot of black people were deciding then to, drop the names of the oppressor and go into a more African name, Swahili name or something like that. It was very big. Like there was a very big push in the 60s and maybe early 70s for black people to, drop the name of the oppressor. Because how do you heal still carrying their names? Because none of them will carry a Yoruba name. None of the oppressors is going to have a Yoruba name. They're not going to have an African name. You don't see no white people walking around with African names. So why do, we hold on to their names? Well, we know this is their names. These names originate in England, in Ireland. Clearly white names. We know that. But it's easier to hold on to their names than to try and go and, go through the process, find someone that go through a naming ceremony and all of that kind of stuff because we're scared. Some people may be scared. You may be scared of what your family is going to think, and your family may question why you're doing this, and then you're married to somebody and that person doesn't want to do it, and then you want to. No, I didn't see your question, Phoenix. And then, you want to take your husband's last name, and he may not be ready to participate in the whole African thing. He may just be like, well, that was my dad's last name, so why do you not want to take my dad's last name, or why? And then, that puts you in a position where you're like, oh, well, forget it. I'll just stay a Brown. Like I really don't think that my husband would care um if I decided to change my name to an African name. Like, I don't think he would be like, well, who are you not to take my name? Like, my husband is not that type of person. Like, I don't think he would care, not one bit. I've never asked him, have I ever traced my DNA? No, I have not. I keep saying that I want to do it because I have a sister supposedly somewhere down south, and I had said that I was gonna do it. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it for Christmas. Maybe I'll tell my husband that I want the ancestry kit for Christmas, because there's nothing that I really want for Christmas. Now that may be a nice gift, and I'll do it then. But no, I haven't done it yet. But I have been thinking about it. I really have. Um, my grandson, his mom did it for all of the kids because she is Caucasian, very Caucasian. Like, both of her parents are Caucasian, so she Caucasian. And her kids are all mixed with African American. So she wanted to do it for them to see which region of Africa they were from. And so I think my grandson got Benning. I have it. She sent it to me. So I do have it. Um and so I'm sure that if cuz your grandkids get so much, they get a little DNA Well, they get DNA from you because he got DNA from his father. His father got DNA from me. So all of us got to, be up in there somewhere. But I think it was Benin in Nigeria. So I was like, all right, then I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take that. And somewhere else, not Sudan, but somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it or tell her to send it to me again because it was so interesting that the part of Africa that showed up on his DNA test was where this guy from Africa told me that I looked like. He said, "You look like the people," I forgot where it was, but he said, "You look like the women there because they are, lighter skinned and heavy set." And I looked it up and I did look like them. I really did. So that it was his DNA test was interesting. So I do want to um have it done. And maybe I'll get it done this year. I don't know why my I'm not able to see the comments like I usually do. Oh, you've done African ancestry and 23andMe? I think she only did one, and I'm not sure um which one she did. But I'm gonna ask her and have her send the if I can't find it, cause she sent me the whole thing so I could see it. So Sundance Girl said, I have talked to my family about legally changing my name. They didn't seem thrilled. How old are you? How old are you? Why do you have to talk to them? Fry Hall said, I'm thinking about doing both of them too. Yes, Sundance Girl, I'm not really following you. Like, how old are you? Why do you have to tell them? Phoenix said, be sure to read African ancestry's information carefully. They trace mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosomes. Too many in the group didn't bother to research how their test is different from autosomal. Rachel said, my surname is July. My dad is Jamaican, and apparently July was the last name that was given to his couple of great grandfathers by their slave master. That would make sense. Oh, Phoenix says she is Kanuri and Fulani on her matrial line. Sundance Girl, I'm 46. They won't call me any other name other than my birth name. You an adult. Who cares? You grown. You 46 years old. Why do you care? They will call you that or don't answer. You a grown woman. I thought you was like a teenager or something. Why do you care? They gonna call you what you tell them to call you because that's a matter of respect. I don't understand that. You 46 years old. You almost 50. Girl, if you want to change your name, change your name. You grown. You good and grown. It's not like you 18 or 19 years old still, living in a house with your parents and they're controlling your situation. No, you grown, girl. If you want to change your name, change your name. If you want to change your name to anything, then they have to call you what you say for them to call you. And if they call you what you don't want to be called, then don't answer. And I'd be like, they're not talking to me because my name is whatever. And if you can't call me that, then don't talk to me. You grown. Unless you living in a house with them and they supporting you still or, whatever. But other than that, I wouldn't even be tripping. They still be calling me Lashana and my name has changed, then yeah, that's disrespectful. You gonna call me by the name that I have chosen for you to call me. You're not just gonna call me by something that I no longer go by. Not in my 40s. Yeah, I mean it is a process. It's not, a simple process because you do have to change everything, your driver's license and birth certificates and all of that stuff, if you're going to do it legally. Now, if you just want somebody to call you something different, then that's different. And you don't have to go through the whole process. But still, if you want your family to call you something different, then they should call you what you choose to be called. I don't think it's that expensive though. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to pay to, it's probably like $35 to change your name on your driver's license. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that. It's not gonna be like thousands and thousands of dollars just for a name change. I don't think it's that expensive. I don't think it is. Phoenix says she is 87% West African, um, one third Nigerian, almost a quarter Ghanaian. I've never heard of Liverarian, and Sierra Leone, and so on and so forth. And 12.6% European. Yeah, my grandkids, theirs was, of course, it's going to be half and half, with their mother being European, Caucasian, and their father being African American. Theirs was like half and half. Like it was 50% European and like I think like 48% or 40 something percent African, and I think they got some Asian and some other stuff on theirs also. It said 80 to $150 for court. Yeah, that I mean that's nothing. That's not like $5,000 or something. Like that's pretty cheap. I don't think it's. I mean, well, that's cheap for me. Your name depends on who you are. Who. If you go in and have a reading done by an Orisha priest, your name is going to depend on what Orisha comes forward and, other things. Now, if you just want to change your name yourself, you could go in and research, like, if you know what day you were born, you should know what sequence you're born in your family. Like, I'm the oldest. I am the oldest. I am the first daughter. in my family. So those things matter. You can find out what day you were born on. That is very easy to do. All you have to do is Google your birthday and the year, and it will tell you what day you were born on. So you could go in and find out and put the things together, and you can give your own self a name if that's what you choose to do. You could look up, it's easy to look up African names by day, what day you were born, what sequence you were born, male, female, all those things. Now, if you want to do it like that and come up with your own name, you can do that. Or you can have a whole complete go through the whole process where they do the naming ceremony. And I've seen them. They you go through your reading, you do all of that stuff beforehand, and then you are presented to your community with your new name. And usually they have dinners, ceremony, probably sing, dance, whatever. And then it's up to you to either go and file papers to have your name changed legally, or that could be just a name that you use around, your family and close friends or whatever. And, you don't like use it at your workplace or whatever. But that's a decision that you make as a person. If you want to go all the way with it and, use that name legally, or, you use that name specially and it's just used around your Orisha family, your Ocha family, with other people that understand why you did that. And that way you're not, having to constantly explain yourself to people who, some people don't understand and don't want to understand. They don't understand on purpose. Like they don't want to understand. And to them, it may look stupid, or oh, well, that sound, I can't pronounce that. Because some people are quick to say, well, I can't pronounce that. Can I just call you Tony? You know what I mean? Or I can't pronounce that. Can I just call you Becky? Or, whatever. When no, I want you to pronounce it, because it's disrespectful for you to just, brush me off and say I'm not going to call you by the name that you choose to be called by because it's too much for me to pronounce. But that's up to you. So Phoenix says, so African Ancestry has the largest database of African samples by the thousands. The other update their results. They destroy samples versus keeping them, so they don't have a relative finder feature. Oh, okay. But the others have relative finders, so you need to review their privacy policies and see if you want to take the risk. That's supposed to be Liberian, but everyone likes my first name. They compliment me and tell me it's pretty. Well, I mean, that's up to you. If you want to keep your first name, keep it. If you don't, change it. It's up to you. It's not something that you have to do. I'm just saying that there are options. You have the option of changing your name. You don't have to hold on to a name that you were given at birth if that makes you uncomfortable. Or if you think about it and you just don't want to hold on to the name of your oppressor, you have the opportunity to change your name. And I just think everybody should, you know, understand why they were given the name that they were given, where their name comes from, where you come from. Where you come from is important. How you got that name. What does that name mean? Because if we, hadn't came here, all of those things would be important. We would be given the name. Our names would mean something. They would have a meaning. What's the matter, Gizmo? What's going on? You can't see out the window, so you don't know what's going on out there. What's the matter? He having a bad day because I closed the blinds. And I guess he hears something going on outside and he can't see because the blinds are closed. So he just sitting there staring at the blinds like, oh, baby. So that's just an option for you. If you want to change your name, change your name. If you don't want to, don't. You can, I don't know. I may never change my name. Or I may wake up one morning and be like, I'm tired of being Lashana. I want to change my name. I want my name to have more of a spiritual meaning. Or I may want to be Lashana for the rest of my life. Who knows? Like, we're constantly changing. I'm constantly changing my mind about situations, about ideas, about religion, about a lot of things. Like, I was on Instagram this morning and someone said that Sage, you know, supposedly Christian. You know how Christians get on they high horse every now and then and got to come down on everybody that they feel is not doing what they think is, right. Because the conversation went, of course, from Sage to crystals and, you know, all kind of stuff in the comments. But like people were saying, like the wise men brought incense to Jesus. So what's the difference in frankincense and myrrh and sage? And crystals are mentioned in the Bible a lot. Incense is mentioned in the Bible a lot. So what's the difference? And most people are not out here um slaying demons, even though they claim to be. Like, if you go to any of them Pentecostal churches, they whole thing is about, forcing demons out of people and, making you birth a demon or, I don't know, child. A lot of stuff be going on at them Pentecostal churches. People spitting and throwing up in buckets and stuff, and y'all out here mad people using sage. I don't know. Right, a whole spirit, the Holy Ghost. Oh my God! Yesterday I saw this video on TikTok where this young man was getting baptized, and it said in the comments that it was like a Pentecostal church. Um, how was he getting baptized? Like on his knees or something? I don't know. But he did I don't know. I don't know if he was like squatting down or maybe the thing was deep or something. Because the pastor wasn't in the pool with him. He was on the outside of the pool. And thank God he was. Because when he baptized this dude, he okay, so The minister was outside of the baptismal pool, and the person was in the pool by themselves. So he, reached in and dunked him over and brought him back up. And honey, when he brought him up, you would have swore a alligator got hold to him. Cause you know how when an alligator gets you, or is it a crocodile? One of them, they'll barrel roll you. That's how they get their prey. They will, barrel roll you, basically drowning you so that they can eat you. I swear to God, it looked like some type of animal had got hold to this man. He was shouting in the water. And I was like, if somebody don't get him out that bathtub, this boy is going to drown himself. It was like the craziest thing I have seen in a long time. Like, I ain't never seen nobody shouting underwater and stuff. It was just too much for me. It just, it was just giving fake. I want to be seen. It was just, oh, it was so much. I was like, God, dog. Just, I don't know. All that running and shouting in the Holy Ghost, but y'all don't. We can, but people can't use sage to clean their house. Okay, but you can get mounted by the Holy Ghost. All right then. So tomorrow we're gonna talk about that young lady, that 18-year-old young lady, that 18-year-old girl that married her. Some people are saying he's 60, some people are saying he's 50. I'm not sure how old the dude is, but he looks 50. He looked like he in his 50s. So the 18-year-old girl that married her 50-year-old godfather. That's who we're going to talk about tomorrow. Because her mom has been on social media. Her mother said that she didn't want her daughter to marry him because a couple of months ago, her and the mother and the man had sex. I mean, it's just crazy. It's one of those stories that you be like, huh? So the guy had posted a picture, and I don't have the picture on here, but the husband had posted a picture of the girl when she was a baby. He was literally holding her. And then the next picture was the two of them at their wedding. So she married someone that has been in her life since she was a baby. He waited until she turned 18 to marry her. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Because, honey, this, when I tell you, it's a huge ball of mess. Just everybody talking about it. And they keep talking. I guess they're going to have a YouTube channel. You know, everybody doing everything for clout now, child. I told my husband, see, it's just certain things that I just can't do. I just can't be on social media acting a fool for clout, for views and stuff. I can't do it. My pride won't let me do it. My pride will not let me get on here acting a fool and showing my natural behind just for views. I just can't do it. Oh, y'all say happy birthday to my mother. Today is her birthday. She of course, passed away in 2011. And normally I go out and get a little Sara Lee cake for her. But honey, I done got so fat. I know my mom will be like, don't you buy that cake. My mom would be like, you don't need no cake. You do not need no cake. Don't you go out and get that cake. You don't need to be eating no cake. Cake is the last thing you need to be eating because honey, my mother was one of those type of people. She shot from the hip. If she didn't have no filter, especially when it came to me. But it was all in love. It wasn't just like her just being malicious. It was in love. My mother didn't want me to be fat because, she had that feeling like, overweight, you're not healthy. My mother used to be a CNA. And of course, she didn't want me to have diabetes and high blood pressure and all of those kind of things. So, she made that kind of stuff known. So if my mother saw how big I didn't got, she would be like, don't you get no cake, honey. Don't worry, don't no, you don't need to get no cake right now. So we didn't get the cake. And but we might do it this weekend. I don't know. So yeah, happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to Momo. Um, she would have loved them grandkids. Oh, she would have been so happy. And she didn't get a chance to see them all. She did get a chance to see Amani, but I think Duty was born after. Yeah, he was born after she passed. So she didn't get a chance to see the boys, but she did see Amani, and she was so happy. But she would have loved them great grandkids. Oh my gosh, she'd have been so happy. So happy. But God called her home. So, And, I feel bad because right now I'm not in a place where I can really honor my ancestors the way I want to. That's one of the reasons why, I want to move so bad because um, I'm just not doing a lot of the things that I was doing before. And I'm feeling it. Like I feel different. I don't feel as grounded and protected as I used to. And I need to get back to the feeling that I used to have. But we are wishing her a happy birthday today. And that's that. It has been storming here. Not like thunder and lightning storming, but raining really hard storming. Very windy. I think the cable just went out again. The cable has been going out. The power flickered yesterday, went out, but it came back. I mean, when I tell you it's been raining, it's been raining. Like, so it rained all day yesterday. And it rarely does that here in California, where it just rains all day. Don't stop. Period. So it rained all day yesterday. The wind was blowing this morning when I woke up. It was so windy. Yeah, the cable done went out again, child. I'm surprised we still on live. So let me get off here before we get cut off because I already see that the Wi-Fi is tripping. It won't come back on. So I will see you guys tomorrow. It looked like it's gotten dark again. Maybe it's raining again. I can't tell because I closed all the blinds so I could turn the lights on and have some lights during this video. Oh no, it's back on. Wait a minute. What is that? Okay, that's not mine. That's not mine. not my home. Is it? Why is all this kitty stuff on here? Okay, let me go and figure this out because the TV tripping. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you and I appreciate you being here. And go and check out this thing so we can all talk about it tomorrow. It's on Facebook. It's on the Shade Room. Did it make the Shade Room? I don't think it made the Shade Room yet. It probably will though. But it's everywhere else they are talking about this couple. So go look it up, and I hopefully have the pictures to show you guys tomorrow. It was something else that I wanted to show y'all, but I can't think of what it is right now. If I think about it, I'll put it in the community tab. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for my moderators for being here and helping me out. But lately, everything has been cool, and y'all ain't had to really get with nobody, and that is great. I appreciate that. I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye.